Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Star Trek Reliant. I'm this episode's game master, dungeon master, and all around crazy person, Bazag, here with another episode and some more. And for once, actually, a guest. So let's start by introducing our guest, Dark Mum.
Hello.
And
Would you like me to? For those of you who don't know me, I am Dark Mom. I am part of the Dark Mom Consortium, which is a Twitch channel, which is actually based out of the Starfleet Strike Group, Klingon Strike Group. Yeah, I know, really clever names from Star Trek Online. And we have two armadas, one Federation, one Klingon, of people who really dislike each other and would like to play the game and have a good time.
All right. Thank you for
maybe have a little TPS.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, and let's go with our captain.
Hello, I am Duncan Idaho, and I have a little song to sing for everyone tonight. I have pizza, yes I do. I have pizza, how about you? Yay for pizza, it is good in the Star Trek neighborhood.
Alright, so apparently, sorry about that, I got mixed up between the captain and Tardigrade. But
Hey.
but we do have our chief medical officer and first officer.
That's me. They threw beans at me.
Well, that's not very nice, but we do have our temporal visitor from another time, DB Wells.
That is a clean burning warp drive, I tell you what.
Damn it.
And we will not explain that in the slightest. But you could probably guess out what was happening before we started to record. But after DB Wells, we have our Dr. Eli.
Wait, I already went. Remember they threw beans at me?
Oh, that's right, they did. Well, but instead, one of the persons that might have been throwing those beans, let's round it back out, our con officer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Geraldine, and I play Con Officer Kara Junarani, the ship's resident smartass.
And someone who definitely was throwing those beans, our Noskin officer on exchange.
I wasn't there, and you can't prove it.
That was Jog. And now let's get to the episode tonight. So tonight, the crew of the Reliant are on their way back to Starbase Magellan. A tribunal has been finally put together to figure out what Starfleet will do with the Reliant's guest, in inverted commas, their resident in the brig, the mirror version of Ryk'Tyr. And so the crew of the Reliant are on their way back to Starbase Magellan for that reason. Is there anything anyone from the Reliant wants to do before we arrive?
Graves is eating a pizza in Club 42. Club 42.
Are you sharing the pizza?
I could potentially be sharing the pizza. Is anyone sitting with the captain?
I am now. There's pizza. Hell yeah, I am.
The other pizza takers?
Ryk'Tyr will.
That depends. What kind of pizza?
Let's say we've got two pizzas. One's going to be pepperoni and bacon. The other one is going to be...
Don't put pineapple on it. That's an offense in and of itself.
No,
I was just going to suggest a guac and pineapple pizza.
Excuse me 1 second.
Anchovies and gach.
Anchovies and gach. That's the second pizza.
Okay, I'm there.
All right, 4 pizza takers. So the 4 people at the table are eating the pizza.
The Reliant. I talk to you later.
And
Bye-bye.
so we're sharing pizza and having a good conversation.
My apologies.
No worries.
Chorog pulls a small jar of Grapbach sauce out of his coat to put on his pizza.
That pizza is good.
All right. While some of the crew of the Reliant are chowing down on pizza, Dark Mum, would you like to introduce the chief person, the head of the tribunal?
Head of the tribunal is Kairadun Kethma, Fleet Admiral.
All right. So, Karith Madroon,
She goes by Admiral Kethma.
Admiral Kethma is
13-year veteran of Starfleet. Andorian. No nonsense. Very hardcore, by-the-book woman.
Oh, she's going to get along with Kara just great.
So Admiral Kethmar is in the sort of office currently, just sort of in a room assigned to her by the head of the starbase, and is going through some reports about Mirror Ryk, things that he has done while in the Prime Universe. So, can someone from the Reliant give a brief overview of what might be in those reports?
Well, since he's come to the Prime Universe, he has attempted to escape after being granted a prosthetic arm. He did a very good job attempting to escape, managed not to hurt anybody, but he was on his way to the shuttle when we set off the booby trap we put in his arm, which was a thermite bomb, because we knew he was going to try and escape.
It was just thermite, it wasn't a bomb. It just melted the arm from the inside.
Thermite is a bomb in my opinion.
It's not. It just melts things.
I imagine you say that a petrol bomb isn't a bomb either.
But it's not thermite. It's like a paste. You apply it, it burns.
In addition,
Anyway, thermite was involved.
He lost arm privileges.
That bomb is also in a bomb, so
we disarmed him of his arm.
Oh.
Granted, that's the only thing I know of he's done since coming to our universe, since in the previous universe, he did end up trying to capture several crewmen, and, well, he was disarmed by Chorok.
Well,
It was a robotic arm, so don't feel too bad.
Not the first one.
Well, the second one. The thermite one.
yeah, so there was a Mirror Universe incursion into the Magellan Station as well, which you would have a report for, where Mirror Ryk'Tyr would be leading a team that was testing out some psionic dampeners to interfere and hide their presence aboard the station, as well as trying to kidnap one of the crew of the Reliant. So there's that report as well. There is also a third report from Starfleet Intelligence detailing Mirror Ryktyr's cooperation in providing intelligence from the Mirror Universe about the structure and organization of the Terran Empire. There is also a slight note in the report from when he escaped that he was the chief engineer of the ISS Reliant, which, being a non-Terran, is interesting thing of note, which hasn't been disclosed. That's pretty much everything that I can think of that has been formally reported prior to the beginning of the tribunal.
As Kethma reads the report, she's trying to identify who the victim was of the attempted kidnapping.
There was Setzer, which was one of the science officers on board the Reliant, did make her way. Was taken to the Mirror Universe, but from what the report says, it wasn't a specific person that they were targeting. It was just they wanted to take someone from the Prime Universe for some reason.
I don't see anything in any of these reports about a interrogation of Ryk'Tyr regarding why this kidnapping occurred. Has he been interrogated?
I don't believe so.
Interesting. Kelma makes a note on the file that perhaps the protocols need to be investigated when we have terrorists who have been captured. But that's for another day. All right.
All right. With the preparation for the tribunal complete, the Reliant makes its way and docks at Magellan. Is there anything that the crew want to do before the beginning of the tribunal?
Enjoy pizza.
Yeah, pizza's pretty good right now.
All right. With Mirror Ryk'Tyr being a foreigner to this universe, protocol dictates that there should at least be someone to represent, to help look after his interests while in this unfamiliar environment. So that is a question for either the Fleet Admiral or Duncan to make.
And I call not it.
Same.
Okay, that's good. Because I was thinking of, who on this ship, who isn't the captain, has command level training?
I think the two people who have it just said no.
Not it.
Three people. We've got a third person, Bryce.
Ah, there you go.
He's an android. So Graves would assign Bryce to be an impartial representative advocating for Mirror Ryk'Tyr.
All right.
Plus that gets countermanded. Graves did not do the interrogation, or at least we don't think he did, which isn't a great sign.
The Fleet Admiral, you received the notification that Graves has assigned a Bryce, who is like a Sun type android, to be Mirror Ryk's representative. In this case, do you countermand that?
I do not countermand that.
All right. So it takes after arriving, there's about a 2 or 3 hour gap before the tribunal is scheduled to start. Some crew people from the station, as well as most of the crew of the Reliant, start filing into to observe the procedure and find Bryce and Mirror Ryk, who's Mirror Ryk would still be like handcuffed, wouldn't he?
He would be in restraints, yes, until even at the tribunal, until the charges have been read, and until the trial starts.
All right, so he is in restraints. Who is there any specific representative from the crew, or is did you want
the representative from the Magellan Starbase would be Defender S, because Defender S will be there to keep an eye on him during the trial. For the benefit of the Fleet Admiral, Defender S is a Ryothean, which means he's about a 3-foot tall rodent, a rat specifically.
ROUS?
More or less, except
Okay.
one also with psychic power.
Excellent.
And from your encountering the Ryotheans, you would think that these were specifically the people that the Mirror Universe were trying to hide from.
I see.
There's a report from Defender S that most communication in general taking place within Ryothean communities is done via telepathy. That Mirror Universe theoretically should have been instantly discovered when they attempted to infiltrate Magellan Station. However, the use of the psionic blocker was key to their success.
Also very interesting. Before we go any further, is the defender capable of reading Mirror Ryktyr's mind?
The Defender?
Yes.
Yes, the Defender is technically capable of doing so, if ordered.
Okay. Is he going to rely on this in any way, shape, or form for presenting any information from the defendant?
The Defender is only here to protect the courtroom, Your Honor. He has no purpose whatsoever other than keeping an eye on the...
All right. So there will be no breach of his privacy.
Negative.
Thank you. Do we have anybody representing him? His lawyer, exactly.
Duncan. Duncan, you're muted.
Oh, as in. Oh, sorry. Bryce hands up and says, I have been assigned that duty. Admiral?
Are you aware of the charges?
I am fully aware of the charges. I have reviewed them extensively, and I happen to be on the scene in a certain place, although I have not.
Have you discussed the charges with your client, and are you prepared to make a plea at this time?
I have, and we are prepared to make a plea at this time.
And how do you plead?
Not guilty is the answer to that.
Out of character. Okay. I was just gonna roll with that. I just wanted to then say out of character. Be prepared to roll with this. Bryce says, "Please, not guilty."
All 3 charges?
Yes, that is the plea that we will be plotting.
Do you have an opening statement for the prosecutor?
Yes, I do. At this time, we would like to point out that hostilities between the so-called Mirror Universe and Starfleet are very deep and very high level. And Ryk'Tyr was an engineer serving aboard the ISS Reliant, pursued his orders, but did so with restraints that is unusual for a member of the Terran Empire. Specifically caused no damage to our ship or crew of said USS Reliant. Under the circumstances, we believe that this grants special dispensation and would warrant dropping the charges in favor of rehabilitation with eventual emancipation into the universe.
Do we have an opening statement from the defense?
Who's the defense at this point?
I was about to say the defense is Bryce. It's you.
You're the defense.
Sorry. 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 Okay, so opening statement. I thought I just gave that.
That should have been the opening statement for the prosecution. Now we need opening statement for the defense. But if we haven't done the prosecution, let's do the prosecution.
Okay, yeah, it's the prosecution we haven't done yet. Bryce.
Prosecutor.
Okay, so that's it.
Prosecutor.
So who's the prosecution?
I will take the role of the prosecutor on this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, it is clear that this mirror counterpart of Ryk'Tyr has acted aggressively. While maybe so he had been so restrained, he has attacked this station. He has attacked members of the Reliant. He has attacked and interfered with the natural state of the Ryk'Tyrians. He depriving them of the ability to the natural ability to psionically detect the presences of people around, endangering the security of the station of the Reliant, and by extension of the Federation itself.
Defender East raises a hand.
Yes, Defender East.
I would also like to point out, Your Honor, that almost the entire population of the Ryk'Tyrian people currently resides aboard Magellan Station, making that a possible act of genocide.
Thank you. It is duly noted. Is the prosecutor ready to present his case?
Yes, Your Honor.
To the first charge that the defendant led a team that tested a psionic device to conceal their presence. Can you give us some details of the events?
Yes, Your Honor. We were just got to think personally how to phrase this. The crew of the Reliant on the Stardate questioned were performing a standard inspection, looking through some of the crew, the cargo bays, when there was an unexpected presence. We have sensor readings of the crew. We have eyewitness accounts from the Reliant crew of the Reliant itself that present was Mirror Ryk'Tyr. That present was a substantially less advanced version of Bryce here, and other members of the Mirror universe, which once identified had engaged with the crew, demanding the accommodation of one of the crew of the Reliant to return with them to the ISS Reliant aboard in one of the crates, which crew said so that one of the science officers was then taken, and the scans which were made by the crew of the Reliant indicated the presence of such a psionic inhibitor, and verified the incursion of the Terran Empire aboard the Starbase Magellan. I will now present you the evidence that I've just mentioned. Some notifications ping on your pad of scans of security cameras, of presence, that of a fight that broke out in one of the cargo bays between what looks like to be Ryk'Tyr, as well as I think it was a golden framed android, which didn't really seem to have a face, didn't seem to be as much of an android as as Bryce.
The evidence that you have forwarded to me seems very definitive. Defense, what do you have to say on this charge? You stated that you were not guilty, but the evidence is fairly clear. Are there extenuating circumstances that we are unaware of?
The only extending circumstance I can point to is whether or not that Ryk'Tyr was an initiating party or coerced into accompanying this away mission, irrespective of his individual wishes.
While I respect that attitude, the defense of "I was following orders" has never been sufficient for Starfleet. Let me further the question, however, which is, why? Why did this incursion happen? Why were they trying out a psionic dampener? And what was their motive for coming into our universe? Have we talked to our defendant about this?
Briefly, the objective by the Terran High Command was to prototype devices that could allow them to infiltrate installations occupied by psionically advanced species in order to evade detection. Starbase Magellan, being on the fringes of Federation space, was a welcome tonight, folks, to Duncan's brain just turned off. Was a
testing ground.
A useful testing ground without immediate, with underdeveloped security or conventional security measures. They felt that it was a...
At the mention of underdeveloped security measures, Defender East just kind of bristles.
The incursion itself is not designed to damage or destroy the installation, but simply proof the technology. The abduction of Ensign Jagoro happened as a target of opportunity by the transporter crew of the ISS Reliant.
As that is our second charge, let us move over to that one, Anne. The prosecutor, regarding that second charge on the attempted kidnapping, I believe my notes are correct here, that it was attempted, not successful. Was the scientist kidnapped?
The scientist was successfully kidnapped, Your Honor. From reports that we have been given, the Ensign Jagoro was in a crate, managed to get herself into a crate, and the crate was removed. There is no evidence that they knew that Cecil was in the crate, but found out that...
you're suggesting this was an Unintentional
Sorry,
kidnapping?
let me. So there is evidence to say that. Sorry, let me just go back a bit because my mind is a bit split on some things. The evidence says that Setsujigoro was in the crate when it was removed from the cargo bay. As such, Setsu was, and sorry, this is the prosecutor speaking, just to clarify, that Setsu was removed and then held in a brig of aboard the Mirror Universe, the ISS Reliant, and thus was once, whether or not the initial removal it was on purpose or not, that her continued imprisonment does prove towards a kidnapping and removal of freedom aboard the ensign's part.
Has the ensign been returned to her ship, or is she still being held?
The ensign is currently here in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ensign, we'd like to apologize on behalf of Starfleet for not keeping you safe. Even in a war zone at this time, we have a duty to protect our people. May I ask the ensign, if available, to step forward? I do have a question.
Setsu at this time is looking very nervous, rubs her arm, and stands up and approaches the speaking podium.
Ensign Setsa, I have a question for you, but please feel at ease. You are not in any danger here, not from me. But I am curious, how did you wind up in that crate?
Well, there was a firefight, and I simply took cover as best I could. We were trying to investigate some unusual readings, and, well, I mean, we found the Terrans there, and I didn't think I was going to be of much help in a combat situation.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty, and you may be seated.
Setsu, with some relief, returns to her seat.
I believe I have sufficient information on the second charge. On the third charge, that you believe that the information provided by Ryk'Tyr is sufficient to allow us to grant some leniency in our judgment, is interesting. Interesting indeed. To that point, Mr. Prosecutor, do you believe that there is sufficient information that has been provided by Ryk'Tyr that would allow him to return to the Mirror Universe? Or do you believe that the attempt at the invasion and the unsuccessful kidnapping are grounds enough to judge that he should remain here under guard?
Your Honor, in terms of the circumstances which Ryk'Tyr came into our possession, he ejected an escape pod which he was the only inhabitant minutes before the ISS Reliant returned back to the Mirror Universe. It is our belief that he, one, doesn't want to return, but two, he has given particular Starfleet intelligence much better understanding of the structures and the current standing of the Mirror Universe Terran Empire. We believe that there may be some understanding. We do not know whether there is what accommodations you may choose to make in regards to his final circumstances, but there is significant intelligence that we have received that could be useful when coming in contact with the mirror universe again.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do you have any further words on either the side of the defense or the prosecution?
The defense would like to note that Ryk'Tyr was currently incapacitated due to losing an arm in the firefight and had no input on the taking of Ensign Jigoro.
Thank you. Mr. Prosecutor, any further statements?
This is, now, Your Honor, these are the evidence that we have to present. We would like to consider a more robust final statement for later, allowing us to take a break, allowing you to consider this evidence, all the evidence that has been provided, and for this court to make recommendations in terms of further procedures from now.
I will take your words into consideration, and let us adjourn this meeting, and we will resume briefly. If there are any character witnesses who would like to step forward at that time, I will be willing to entertain any presentations they may make on either the behalf of the prosecution or the defense. But until that time, we are in recess. That was my gavel.
Alrighty then. Is there so the gavel is banged. The Fleet Admiral returns back to her chambers, and the courtroom, the tribunal, is currently aflutter with discussions from the various residents and other crew from Magellan discussing the situation, what happened.
Kara leans over from where she's sitting next to Eli and simply whispers to him, "Do you think they're going to have us talk about the fact we loaded thermite into an arm?"
We? Yeah, we. Definitely we. I don't think so. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping not to. Although it did work out for the best.
I mean, technically it was part of the hydraulic system. It was just supposed to incapacitate the arm, but...
Speaking of, if I had thermite...
Your arm does not have anything like that, I promise.
Okay. She gives him a slight side-eye.
I knew where the question was going. You're not a dangerous criminal. I didn't feel the need to put it in yours.
Kara simply stares straight ahead at the camera and almost puts on a Bugs Bunny accent. He don't know me very well, do he?
Who are you talking to?
Nobody.
John turns around from like the row in front of them and just sort of waves.
Oh, John. You're not the kind of criminal that I need to be worried about. You're like a friendly criminal.
At this point, Kara has set off giggling.
You're like Chorog, but like not.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She can't argue with this.
John returns to what he's working on, which is a crayon drawing of what he's going to present as a character witness.
Kara leans to the other side and just looks at Setsa. So, climbing in boxes now, are we?
Yeah, I'm not a kitty.
So you're saying it's not if I fits, I sits?
No, unless it's a firefight. Then it definitely is if it fits, I sits.
If you want to work on your marksmanship, me and Chara could take you to the holodeck sometime.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, I've been meaning to do a little bit more broadening since I'm pretty good on the science education now, so yeah, getting a little security training sounds pretty good. It's either that or engineering.
Do you care if I tag along? I need to work on my aim.
Not at all. I was going to say, with us around, it does seem like the Reliant gets thrown into a lot of situations where if it's not diplomacy, then it's force.
And I can't...
both.
Yeah.
I've learned from last mission that I can't be using knife shoes every time.
It is a bit of a handicap to have only a close-range weapon.
Yeah.
Stylish, though.
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Marcus, meanwhile, is sitting with the crew, or the senior staff of Starbase Magellan. Captain Mercer in particular, just chatting, trying to stay relaxed, but Marcus is just sort of like, I'm probably going to need to start stepping up with, security audits, reviews of regulations. He's just seeing the paperwork starting to pile up, and it's like, yeah, I've been putting some of this stuff off.
Leader Fane just kind of strokes his whiskers and says, I wonder if Defender East was a bit out of order there. Although it is true destroying Magellan would be considered an act of genocide, there is no proof that the Terran Empire intended to do so.
It's hard to say, simply because they may have been trying to infiltrate Magellan, but at the same time, if a Terran found a way of incapacitating or damaging Magellan, they may still have taken advantage of it. It may not have been part of the original mission plan, but given the disposition of Terran soldiers, I definitely wouldn't trust them around any sensitive equipment or reactors.
Given the defector your people brought back with you, I think I see a shadow of what would have happened to my own people had the Empire taken the station.
Yeah, definitely don't like to think about what that universe was like. Though, I don't know, Mirror Muse seems pretty on the level, but it seems to be an entire anomaly.
Still, I would like to reiterate my request to you and Captain Mercer that a prospective colony be found for what's left of my people. I do not feel that staying on this station long term will be good for us.
Yeah, Marcus nods. We've got it as priority one when it comes to uninhabited M-class planets, or even Prime Director-friendly planets that are amenable to colonization. It's just, in this region of space, it seems to be a little bit barren of those kinds of worlds. There's a lot of marginal habitation, or planets of marginal habitability, or were once M-class but drifted out.
More primitive species, similar to the Ryotheans.
Yeah, perhaps.
Fane chuckles slightly. I suppose if it wasn't for intergalactic slavery, we'd still be on that world and dying in our own proverbial winter. Suppose that's a silver lining to a very dark cloud.
Kethma pays attention. Kethma is quickly looking through various files, but she's paying attention to the words that are going around.
In that case, I will simply point out that, as you probably imagined, Leader Fane is leader of the Ryotheans, such as they are.
Actually, I'm going to post something in potentially extenuating circumstances. Anyway, carry on.
Gentlemen, ladies, if you will resume your positions at the prosecution and defense, and would our guests in the courtroom please have a seat?
Defender AS calls for everyone to be seated, and everyone promptly is.
Our defense attorney, would you please present any character witnesses you feel are relevant to substantiate your position? If any.
At this time... This is where Duncan considers whether or not to escalate to 11 right at the start or go to someone else. Yes, I would like to call Ryk'Tyr. As
the defendant?
The chief engineer of USS Reliant. The chief engineer of USS Reliant.
Please call your character witness.
Back in somewhere back in, like right in the back, the seats of the courtroom, Ryk'Tyr starts up. He is very, very similar looking, but can I get you to give me roll an insight command? I'm not sure if we got stats for you, so let's do. I'll roll on your behalf. How well do you think your character would notice things?
My character?
Yes.
Oh, she's been around the galaxy. She's very observant.
Okay, so that is, you see, there is quite some similarities, but you just see some noticeable, a slight discoloration, not just on one part of his scales, because Ryk'Tyr is a reptilian. I've sort of described him as a sort of halfway between the Gorn and Saurian, sort of got a pronounced snout, but not as far, and not as big as the Saurians. but you see a lot of discoloration in Mirror Ryk scales compared to this universe Ryk'Tyr, and there does seem to be a lot of like equivalent of scars that you would think just by looking at him as the Reliance chief engineer approaches.
Understood.
My circumstances, and I believe the circumstances of my mirror counterpart are interesting. About 30 years ago, my species' homeworld was about to be destroyed by our star-going nova. If it wasn't for the intervention of Starfleet vessels in the situation, then we would not and allow us to find a new home world, then we would not be in a situation that, well, we could really come back from. Considering this mirror universe environment, I have to wonder what circumstances that my counterpart has found, not only with the destruction of his homeworld, which we have been able to verify, but with the Terran Empire taking the place of the Federation, how further impact that might have had on Ryk'Tyr, and being in a position where he might not have had the capability to say no to any request, especially being a non-Terran aboard a Terran starship.
Thank you. That's an interesting perspective that I had not considered. I appreciate your comments. Mr. Defending Attorney, have you any other witnesses that you would like to present at this time?
Bryce rubs the back of his head, looks over to Lieutenant Tardigrade, sighs, and says, "Yes, there is one additional witness I would like to call at this time, Lieutenant John T. Tardigrade."
Lieutenant Tardigrade, please step forward.
Lieutenant Tardigrade rushes to the speaking podium excitedly and spends a moment kind of elevating himself, just bringing up a small little platform so he can stand at a reasonable height for a humanoid. He has a bit of papers. He taps them on the desk and says,
I would like to say that this Ryk'Tyr, he's not our Ryk'Tyr, but I mean, he's okay. I mean, if you look at this picture, this is what I drew when sitting outside his cell. I wanted to make him like draw things and be nice, but this one, he kind of did it, except he kind of put his foot on it and he kind of grumbled a little bit. This one, I mean, he drew a circle. I mean, he's drawing a little bit, but I mean, if he gets a better chance, I think he can do better. Although I think he should try to find better crew members than those who would try to mutiny against him and force him to run from his ship.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate your contribution to this hearing. Is there anybody else who would like to speak?
Just a quick pause. Mirror Ryk would like to have a moment to say something. Is that the point now, or would you like to?
If nobody else is if there are no other character witnesses, then I would like him to step forward and speak. If there are no other character witnesses, Mirror Ryk'Tyr, would you step forward?
Yes. My life has not been easy, but I will not humiliate myself and describe all the things that have been done to or by me. I left my ship for one simple reason, that I do not have a future in the Terran Empire anymore. As my counterpart said, I am the last of my species in my universe. Not only did my planet blow up, but the few scientists that were and engineers that were able to scrape together a semblance of a warp engine, they were killed, and I was adopted into the Terran Empire by my adoptive parents. I may have been technically one of them, but I was never truly one of them. A thing that I was reminded again and again. I come here not because I want to join the Federation, not because I want to have something given to me. I just want to be left alone, to find somewhere, live, and that is it. I could not do that in the Terran Empire for things happened which I won't bore you with, but let's just say that chaos happened in the ship prior to me, where members of the crew set against each other. The Saw, homeworld of the Saw, was a planet that bears our species name, Saw, and here in this world there is a new Saw. Right now, I want my own new Saw, just a place to be left alone for me to be me. I do not want this world's version. I just want finally something of my own. If that is something that this court is willing to do, then you will hear no more from me.
Thank you. You may be seated. Mr. Prosecutor, do you have any concluding words?
Just, Your Honor, that whatever the motivations or the reasonings behind the events that happened, they still happened, and justice still needs to occur. Whether that is whatever method that might be, then that is not my place to say. But the station was still assaulted. The crew, members of the crew, was still taken and kept aboard the ISS Reliant. And even though there are some circumstances that might be considered mitigating, they do not excuse the actions that were taken by the defendant here today. And as such, we ask that you give a sentence that is appropriate to the circumstance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Defending Attorney, any closing statement?
We would agree that justice needs to be metered out according to the circumstances at hand. Those simply include that Ryk'Tyr of the Mirror Universe accompanied a infiltration mission onto Starbase Magellan, was injured in the line of duty, and then escaped the ISS Reliant. Those are the acts that relate most to Starfleet and our interests in the matter. And for justice to be meted out, we believe that more broad measures need to be taken beyond simply Ryk'Tyr, that his role was a relatively minor one.
Thank you. I appreciate the time of everybody who's come to this trial, this tribunal today, to listen to the details regarding the specifications and charges presented against Mirror Ryk'Tyr. I have listened carefully, and I have reviewed Starfleet law. I've also taken into consideration the clear impression that this person has made on the people who are on the station and have been on his ship. That said, Mirror Ryk'Tyr came to this universe, even under orders, but in an act of invasion, preliminary invasion, testing out a piece of equipment that could have made the actual invasion of the universe possible easily had it succeeded. That it did not succeed was not his doing. Give me one moment. Indeed, had it gone to plan, his invasion, their invasion, would never have been detected. That it did happen was not of his doing. More than that, we have the probability that had the invasion succeeded, the genocide, the complete obliteration of a species of beings that are protected by the Federation would have occurred. Unbeknownst to him, nonetheless, he would have been responsible. And as such, I find it very difficult to simply ignore his actions. As to the charge of kidnapping, however, we do find the defendant not guilty on this charge. And to the commanding officer of Ensign Setsa and all of the lower officers on the Reliant, it is the finding of this court that some proper training be taken as to how one acts in a firefight. One does not hide in a crate. I will expect to see training manuals in place, and I do expect to see reports on file showing the improvement of training on this ship. Am I understood?
You are most understood, Fleet Admiral.
Then to the charge of leading or being on a team that invaded the Prime Universe, as we call it here, I find the defendant guilty. I sentence the defendant to 30 years incarceration. The defendant is to serve out his term on the planet of Ryk'Tyr under the guidance of the courts there. Should they find that within the first 30 days, that his demeanor, temperament, and composure in fitting into society is appropriate, he may be placed under parole under their guidelines to become a functional member of that society and perhaps to find a place that he did not have in the Mirror Universe. Should that not happen, they may leave him incarcerated for as long as they feel is appropriate. I would like to hear from Ryktyr's government if they are agreeable to this term. And Ryk'Tyr, Mirror Ryk'Tyr, I would like to hear from you as you progress in finding a place for yourself in that society. I hope you can find a place that you did not have. However, we appreciate your skills, your engineering skills. I do not believe that you would be a great fit in Starfleet, and I would bar you from rejoining based on your comments. I think that would be appropriate. Last and not least, and I will point this out to every member of this crew, placing thermite in the arm of a prisoner is an offense. If Ryk'Tyr chooses and acts in a manner to which he would be released in society, he would be at liberty to bring charges against you. I just mentioned that to you and to Mirror Ryk'Tyr. That said, this court is adjourned. Thank you very much for your time.
You see, he doesn't say anything, but you see Mirror Ryk'Tyr sort of just eyes meet with you and sort of glares. He doesn't say anything, but there is a moment of connection that either perhaps he's going to go, but he seems pretty defiant right now in terms of meeting as rejoining society. Who knows what that will be like in the future? But right now, he is not a happy chappy. With that said, he is actually taken aboard the Magellan's brig for now. So he's taken off their hands off the Reliant until the diplomatic overtures can be made and incarceration can be made aboard New Sol.
Defender AS and her guards basically see him out.
For now, he is following. He is just remaining silent, trying to keep his thoughts and his trying to keep himself contained and secret. His future plans, whatever they might be. Now with the court, the tribunal sorted, what is the Fleet Admiral going to do now while on Magellan Station? There is quite a few things actually that are shops that are open, including a Ferengi trading store, if they wanted to go there.
Gentlemen, you guys got a bar around here someplace? It's on me. First round's on me.
Captain Graves perks up and says, yes, there is an establishment that has opened up recently called the Inventory. It is under some construction, but it does offer a perhaps suitable bar arrangement.
Have any of you ever had an Andorian sunrise?
Is that anything like a Nausicaan sunrise?
Yes, but you can live through this one.
Excellent, I'll have that.
Yes, gentlemen, it's on me. Let's go see what you've got.
As the Fleet Admiral and her entourage leave, Kara runs a hand through her hair and just kind of says, well, there's another black mark on my record. Though, personally, the fact that we had to use it justifies its existence. Still, I suppose we won't be doing that in the future, if it ever comes up.
Trog finally walks in, having dismissed the security detail. Says, I'm going to have my work cut out for me now.
Kara nods. Don't worry, I'll help you as much as I can. And he gestures to Setsa and Eli. Well, we're off to the firing range.
Right now? I thought it was drinking time.
Drink first, shoot later.
Oh, that's
safe. You can go drink with the Fleet Admiral if you want. I don't think she and I would get along.
It's part of the, the whole, yeah.
Once again, I'm happy that I'm simply the captain's left-hand woman and not on the roster as such.
No comment.
Charles pulls his disruptor pistol off his coat, hands it to Setsa. Here, start practicing.
Perhaps later.
Well, I guess I might be the only one headed back to the ship then. Well, she bows. Well, everyone have fun. I'll go keep watch on the ship to make sure nobody steals it.
Well, okay, but, I mean, if you want some booze first, well, actually, no, that probably wouldn't help.
Kara shakes her head. Again, I have a respect for the Fleet Admiral, having seen her, but based on comments, she and I would be like putting a fork in a microwave. With that, Kara just waves and heads back to the Reliant.
Sorry, I was actually just having to modify. I accidentally closed a program, so I had to check my settings for voice. Anyway, Marcus leads the way along the promenade of the Starbase Magellan into, well, I mean, it was obviously a bit of a cargo bay, but there's starting to be a few more furnishings around the budding club called the Inventory. It has a few wall drapings, kind of a nice view outside the a large rectangular window set, and a few tables, pool table, and a bar tended to by a large Gorn civilian officer, or large Gorn civilian. Currently, there are a few miscellaneous personnel from Starbase Magellan just ambling around, talking with what few passing merchants and transfer crews are also passing through at the time. And they have the place, well, at least around the bar area, largely to themselves.
The only current person at the bar, speaking occasionally with the bartender, is an ebony-skinned, short-haired man, a human, who looks around the bar area while taking a drag off a cigarette now and then. He's wearing a white business suit and an eye patch over his left eye.
Graves walks over to the band and says, "Hey, we have a fleet admiral coming in for drinks. Is that going to be any kind of problem, at least with activity levels?"
Man arches an eyebrow. No way, baby. Trevor Miliani runs an upstanding environment, you dig? Everyone is welcome here. If she wants, she's even free to stay for the night's entertainment.
All right, excellent. Graves kind of looks behind him, or behind himself.
Rathbone leans over there. I don't need to be entertained. I am the entertainment. Gentlemen, let us get this party started.
Trevor cracks a smile and looks at her and says, I dig this crazy cat. First round is on me, beautiful.
Got it, baby.
The bartender at this point starts pouring drinks.
Kathma, a slight woman of Andorian heritage, pounds them down.
By this time, Trog has walked in and puts a black bottle on the table and says, "How would you like a real drink?"
Oh god, Jorg, no. Is that venom?
What else would it be?
Alright, fair warning.
Here's my glass.
Trog pops the cork off and pours out the viscous purple liquid. This is what I call pirate venom. It's good for two things: killing brain cells and cleaning plasma injectors.
Trevor just leans back and says, I thought that smelled like solvent, baby.
Kathma knocks it back. Mother's milk. Give me another.
Oh, I like you. Trog pours another glass and takes a long drag from the bottle himself. I ferment this stuff myself, you know. It's a mix of all kinds of good stuff.
Well, back on Andor, when we're making our hooch back in our homes, can't tell you guys in the Federation about this stuff, but the trick is, once you get everything to a certain point, you gotta spit in it. Nothing like Andorian spit wine. Had I known we were gonna meet you, I would have brought a bottle with. Next time you're back at ESD, stop by my quarters.
I'm not exactly welcome on ESD. You know, you clog Quinn's toilet just once, and then they evict you for life.
Hey, can't stop you from meeting me at Ryza.
Graves says under his breath, "Oh God, not Ryza, not again."
Eli goes over, sits at the bar.
Trevor just takes a long drag off his cigarette. Baby, I love the frontier.
All right,
Yeah,
so
Ryza, you got a deal. I like Ryza. I make a killing there.
So while all this is going on, what is Daniel doing, DB? What did Daniel do during the tribunal?
He was mostly just kind of wondering where everyone was today, so he just kind of decided to hang out at some random establishment, got a little drunk, and started asking around if they do karaoke.
So basically, Daniel is in the corner doing karaoke right now.
So you start to wonder down the corridor after if people know where a karaoke place is, and you see Mirror Ryk'Tyr being escorted towards the station's brig. He is seeming compliant, but just as before he gets into the turbo lifts, sort of knocks one of the guards into the side of the wall and steals one of their phasers.
Ooh. Dun dun dun. Is Bryce with him? I'm
gonna leave that up to you. Bryce's duty would have been ended at the end of the tribunal, so...
Okay, so Bryce wouldn't have viewed his duty as particularly savory because he would have been able to very easily determine whether or not they had a case and would have been basically told... basically, he would have had to push probabilities quite extensively for that. So he was very uncomfortable during those proceedings. So he would not be here to stop...
I would like to point out that Defender East was not able to defend herself and was also shoved into the wall. So both Ryathean guards have currently been incapacitated by a very large SAR.
And I just saw this?
Yeah, you just saw it happen.
Well, Daniel has no idea who the. Wait, actually, no. No, I do know who this is. This is Ryk'Tyr, my good buddy from the crew.
He's missing an arm, though.
Despite the missing arm and the change in scale color.
I don't know why he's fighting people, but I gotta back up my buddy.
Oh no!
I'm drunk and think I'm in need by a friend. Yeah.
You know what? I take it back. Defender East is taken out by Daniel, apparently.
Oh no!
Oh.
Don't you worry, Rick. Whatever these people did, I'm not gonna let it happen again.
Poor Defender East just got sucker punched by a guy from the 20th century.
Drunk and confused.
Well, that's why she didn't see it coming.
Okay. I'm going to do another roll. This sort of depends on one of two things could happen here. You see Ryk'Tyr change one of the settings and just go running off towards one of the cargo bays. One of the towards the shuttle the Magellan has shuttle bays, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Magellan
it
would
does.
have shuttle bays, yes.
Yeah. So goes running off to one of the shuttle bays. Let's see if he actually is able to find his way to one, because this is an unfamiliar environment.
Meanwhile, Daniel is running.
He gets lost in
Into the bar.
No, yeah.
Daniel is in hot pursuit, asking what's going on.
And yes, this time he stumbles right into what was the name of the
inventory.
The inventory.
It is also about this time that Defender East comes to her senses and taps her comm badge and yells into it, "Red alert, escaped prisoner on Magellan."
Eli, who was just about to order a drink, looks over. Ah, shit.
Kethma,
Found
despite
him!
being toasted, has her little antenna and picks up the sound, immediately turns, and then looks at the defender and the prosecutor and sighs. Gentlemen, braining. She pulls out her phaser, sets it to stun, and points it at Ryk'Tyr.
All right.
It's at this moment that Daniel catches up, and not seeing that Rick has stopped, accidentally plows right into him from behind.
Okay, give me a daring security roll, Daniel.
He's gonna go from accomplice to hero.
Well, you see, Defender East didn't see who punched her, so...
So, you got your sheet?
Yes, that is... You run so hard into the back of Mirror Ryk'Tyr that you accidentally knock him to the ground.
Kethma,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rick. What have I done?
Kethma, still slightly hazy from all the alcohol, moves forward, seeing what's happened, seeing the body on the ground, looks at Daniel and goes, "Good work, young man. Good work."
Trevor is
Daniel
busy
doesn't know
laughing.
who this is.
Trevor is busy laughing
Daniel
his
doesn't know
ass
who-
off.
Daniel doesn't know who this is, but he just takes the compliment and salutes before walking over to the bar.
Trevor snaps his fingers, and a couple of the inventory's bouncers come over and just kind of kneel down on Rick.
See why we use thermite? Like one arm, see what he could do. 2 arms? God.
As the bouncers come over, you see Mirror Rick with the phaser in his hand. He taps some more settings, holds it to fire, but points it at himself, and shoots himself.
Actually, before he does this, John's in the room. He's gonna try to do spore jumpy.
What specifically is he trying to spore jump?
The gun. Because he's a junior security officer. He's going to try to disarm the situation. Rick is big. He is little, so he's going to try to go for the weapon.
All right, give me a control security on this one.
All right, and there we go. Yay! 1 success.
You managed to get there. You and you do teleport the gun away, but you find yourself somewhere that you're not really sure where right now.
He looks around. There's cars flying high above. He looks over at a sign for the Detroit Lions playing on Sunday. And he goes,
Ah, crap baskets.
With the gun gone, he just starts, Mirror Ryk'Tyr just starts sort of like furiously headbutting into the ground.
Somebody's
Graves
going to
at
the
this point.
sideboard. Come on.
Yeah, so Graves at this point is also like jumping into the situation, trying to like restrain Ryk'Tyr.
Daniel
point, the
sees
two-
his good friend hurting himself. He has to stop him.
Isn't
This
regular Rick in here too?
Regular Rick is still there, but he's a bit back in the crowd, and he's not readily apparent.
The two bouncers by now have caught up with Mirror Ryk'Tyr, but now they're just confused.
Yeah,
Causing
but you
trouble.
don't have to beat yourself up over this. It's not your fault. Come on, grab a drink with me.
You hear
Kesma, seeing the chaos of her assignment here, immediately tells the guards to escort Mirror Ryk'Tyr, to sick bay first, under restraint.
Yes, Daniel. You actually see the proper Ryk'Tyr emerge out from the crowd and say, "Daniel, I'm here."
The
Well, of
bouncers,
course you're here. I'm trying to help you. Wait a minute.
while this is
Prepare for
going on,
trouble and make it double.
the bouncers take hold of Ryk'Tyr, and at this point, another group of 4 Ryathans with stunned lances arrives. And they all promptly follow the Admiral's orders and start moving Ryk'Tyr, as cooperative or uncooperative as he may be, towards sickbay.
Trog, heavily intoxicated at this point, just walks up to Daniel, grabs him by the arm, and says, Daniel, go with me. We had a busy day. Time to take you back. You're drunk.
You're drunk.
We're both drunk. What's your point?
I haven't even had a drink yet.
That is a good point. Hey, does this place do karaoke?
No. We're gonna go back to Reliant. You need to have a lie down.
Trevor just sweeps his singular eye over this entire scene and says quietly to himself, maybe this isn't the right place to set up.
So the bouncers and the Ryathans and whatever backup from the Reliant come and each grabbing, a bit of Rick, sort of like lift him up off the ground and literally carrying him. He's struggling against it, but there's just so much manpower that, he literally can't. Literally can't get out of what he's done. And it just sort of yells incoherently at the whole situation, feebly struggling as he's getting taken to the medical bay.
Ethma looks around at the slowly quieter and quieter room and wonders, is anybody left in the room? Is it just me?
Eli's still there.
Graves will also still be there.
Did one of you just mention karaoke? She says, hopefully.
Yeah, that was Daniel, our science officer in training. We could go to Club 42 for karaoke if that's something that would help you calm you down from the situation.
Young man, I've been calm longer than you've been alive. But I got me a good drink in me. I've done a good day's work. Let's party, providing that you're not going to let your detainee get loose again?
No, I've assigned our additional security officer and also my chief tactical officer to see to security to make sure that no further incidents take place.
With
Also,
respect, you think that's going to be enough?
To be fair to Graves, it wasn't his men who fumbled, it was basically Mercer's people on Magellan.
Graves says,
Station people.
yeah. So, I'm currently not sure where John is, Lieutenant Tardigrade, but Janik Rosso and Larissa both have my full confidence.
Glad to hear it. I'm looking forward to reading your report tomorrow.
At this point, the camera shifts over to the med bay in Starbase Magellan, where a ranting and semi-controlled Ryk'Tyr is brought in and, placed near a med bed. Healer Wint immediately climbs up on the med bed, holds out a hypo, plunges it into Ryk'Tyr's neck, and then just boops him on the nose and says, "Good night," whereupon the SAR falls back unconscious.
Well, somebody's gotta tell Whately and maybe Ged.
Graves hesitates at calling the chaplain in, but ultimately, he
literally tried to kill himself
counselor.
in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this isn't Graves talking. This is just Graves processing through the situation.
And to be fair, out of character, Whately won't help that. Or maybe, rather, he would help that, but in the wrong way.
Oh, no.
Graves has suspicions at this point about Whately, but at the same time, he is the chief counselor of USS Reliant, so he also makes Whately available to Starbase Magellan. Otherwise, the group proceeds to karaoke at a smaller but a little bit, more finely furnished Club 42 aboard the USS Reliant. At the bar is a very burly-looking man with a giant beard, and what looks like to be a battle axe hanging on the back shelf or the back wall. Otherwise, there are various bits of entertainment as well an area that looks like it's been set aside for karaoke.
Ithma hurries over to the pad and scrolls through it. Oh, excellent! They've got Macho Gorn. She cues it up and starts to sing, "Macho, Macho Gorn. I gotta be a Macho Gorn."
Graves is loving this. He relaxes back. He's got another drink in his hand.
The three, Riothan members of the Reliance crew, Jess, Aro, and Neen, are sitting together at a booth, and they all stare at each other as Admiral Kefma starts singing, and they just look at each other, and then Neen just says, "Do you think this is supposed to be Earth culture?" To which Jess replies, "I don't think she Earthican."
Eli sits down at the bar of Club 42 trying to finally get a drink. Is the universe going to
Grimnir.
stop?
No, this time Grimnir. You're asking a drink from Grimnir. Grimnir will bend the universe to serve you that drink.
Grimnir passes him a mug and says, "Oi, you look like you've had a bad day. Drink up. And for some reason, I'm Australian. Sorry."
Ah, yes, the Australian anomaly.
That last part was out of character,
The
but
Australian
whoops. I'm sorry,
that's
Grumpy,
fine.
this is
I mean,
what
that's fine if
happens
you
when
don't
you're
point it
not
out.
here. This is why we need Grumpy.
You're Grimnir for the rest of the episode now.
You're Australian, Grimnir.
I was going to order something else, but
If you don't order a Foster's, there's something wrong.
I was going to order a Bloody Maria, which is like a Bloody Mary, but with tequila instead of vodka.
And more Catholic guilt.
Yep. I'm
At this
Irish, what do
point-
you expect?
At this point, Drunken Trog and Drunken Daniel stumble in. This don't look like your quarters.
What?
Graves calls over. Hey, Daniel, karaoke!
Woo! Okay. Bartender, mix me a zombie while I'm up on stage.
The fuck
At
is
this point, the trio of Riothan starts to wobble and kind of wave back and forth. And Arrow just says, "I think we're getting a contact buzz off these people."
Trog, wine stinking drunk, stumbles over to the bar, takes his usual seat, and just starts and picks up where he left off on Magellan and just starts drinking.
By this
Let's
point,
change to a
Grimnir
new
has
song.
gotten... Go ahead, Mom.
It's raining corn. Hallelujah, it's raining corn.
Grimnir has now gotten the Bloody Maria together along with the zombie and just looks around proudly and says, "Gonna be a good night tonight."
Eli takes his drink and
Graves
takes a
is
sip. Oh, that's good.
Graves is taking the opportunity. Like I'm starting to write the report now. He's doing homework.
At this point, Setsa and Kara walk into Club 42, and Kara is loudly explaining, "I don't want to date the Romulan. This isn't about that."
Okay. All right. Wait, is that the fleet admiral?
Kara looks up. Eep.
I want to do it.
Let's find somewhere else to be.
But karaoke. I mean, I've heard about this. I mean, this should be fun, right? We go up and sing like the song and words there.
This is gonna
Ethma looks at them and says, "You've never done karaoke?"
No. I mean, maybe have a little bit of a folk tradition, but no, I haven't done karaoke before.
Come on
I mean,
up
I've seen
here.
it.
Let's do one of the classics. Come on. Okay. Do this with me. Or do this. Okay. And say after me. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you go.
Let you down.
Kara gets
Turn
strung up on
around
stage.
and find you.
Oh, I
Never gonna
love
make
this
you
one.
cry.
Never gonna say goodbye.
Cry. Never
Okay,
gonna
I'm gonna need
turn
something stronger,
around
Grimnir.
and hurt you.
Trog hears this, perks up, stumbles up there, and just starts singing in the most crystal clear voice you've ever heard. Never gonna give you up, never gonna get you down, never gonna turn around.
Pretty much every other crew member in Club 42 joins in along singing "Never Gonna Give You Up," except for Dr. Eli and possibly Grimnir.
Tequila, old fashioned. Splash a beer with a chili garnish. Make it 4 of those.
As you say this, Grimnir just pulls out a wooden bucket and starts dumping tequila in it.
That'll do too.
Grimnir, blood wine, that's on me.
Oi, get it yourself from the replicator. I don't have that.
They're gonna count it, they're special reserve.
Grimnir blinks a few times and then looks at Eli and says, "You know, I'm used to deciphering drunk folks. I don't have a fucking clue what he just said.
Drunk is like a second language to me, and I have no clue.
I'll just get him some mead. He's drunk enough he might not know the difference."
He might have said something with venom, but he keeps all the venom. I know you don't. Wait, do you keep venom?
Maybe.
Okay, he might want venom then. Look, I'll get him something figured out.
Trog shouts something extremely unintelligible in like perfect Nausicaan and just goes back to singing.
Graves is humming along.
Ethma looks around and goes, "Who's in charge on this starbase?"
Kara looks
Graves
over,
raises.
well, if you're asking about the starbase, that's Captain Anton Mercer, ma'am.
I think I need to have to talk with that man about his excellent choice in bars. But gentlemen, we need to have a talk tomorrow.
Kara just kind of nods and refrains from letting the Admiral know that she's no longer on Magellan.
Ethma looks around going, damn it. All right. All right, let's just go on. I'm unstoppable. I'm a starship with no brakes.
Setsa is singing along to that as well, taking up the role of a backup singer.
Kara is pressed between Chorog and Setsa and is painfully sober for all of this. I do believe we've run out of story, ladies.
Yes, I think that is a good spot to end that with
Every good story ends in a bar with regret. Regret and karaoke.
And I will just say that karaoke song is also what's playing over the end credits. So you fade that out.
With the entire
Wait, that
cast
can't be how
who
it
doesn't
goes.
have singing training, singing.
That's
I'm
never
not
stopped
singing.
us.
With
Daniel
Trog
has hit the
shouting
sweet
something in...
spot.
Go ahead.
Daniel's hit the sweet spot where he actually gets better at singing at this stage of drunkenness.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's getting progressively worse at standing.
If you say that, I will send the karaoke video. I still have that, by the way.
Grog shouts something in unintelligible Gnostican. Loosely translated means your horse has honor, then passes out.
Kara just, from the background, just quietly whispers, I am so tired of being the adult lately.
Eli takes his bucket of tequila and goes to sit with Kara.
And with that, that's gotta be a good spot to end it for tonight. Don't forget, we have an email address, reliant@starbaseuDC.com. Thank you for joining us in this insanity. Thank you, Duck Mom. Hope you enjoyed playing.
Thank you for inviting me. That was an absolute delight.
Indeed. Thank you for coming along. That was great.
And
That was
awesome.
a blast. That was great.
And see you next time here on Star Trek Reliant. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.